Oh, I've got to. Whoa,
There
recording
we
in progress.
go. Another reminder to turn your camera off if you definitely don't want to appear, but it should just be Hilary all being well.
Yep, hopefully, and apparently I have to appear. I let's get the slideshow going. Sorry. There we go, from the beginning. There we go. So, yes, very nice to be here with you this morning. I'm actually in York at the moment, which is why I'm in my best uniform, because it's our thanks and recognition afternoon today, and I know that the region team have invited people who've done a lot over the last couple of years to be specially recognised, and it's always lovely. You know, I was keen to come down because I feel like I'm being thanked as well for bits and bobs that I've done, and to meet people and friends, and that's what really awards and thanks and recognition is all about, isn't it? Because we give a lot, and just occasionally it's nice to get something back, I think, in response. Now, I wasn't too sure whether I was going to be able to make this meeting, recording it from a hotel. So if I drop out, I apologise for that. I did send Emma the recording. I looked incredibly serious and intense, and I've obviously discovered I can't talk, read, record, and smile all at the same time, and the smiles seem to have passed me by. So trying to be a bit more cheerful this morning. I am indeed the chair of the National Awards Committee, which sounds very grand. But really, the most important thing, I think, is that, like most of you, I'm a unit leader, and I'm a ranger leader in Whitley Bay up in North Tyneside, so other side of the hills to you. And I think that's really, it's always good to remember that you've got to be grounded in this, and that you see from brownies right through to people who've been in guiding for a very long time. And everybody needs to be thanked and rewarded at times. And sometimes people do amazingly special things as a one-off, and sometimes it's just a cumulative thing that people have put together over a lot of years. So I want to start with a question, really. Do you know a special girl, a leader, or a supporter? Because the awards starts really, I think, from knowing our members and what they do. And I hope you've seen this badge before, this logo, the Girl Guiding Hero. And this was a direct response to what happened 2 years ago, and started as we ought to be saying thank you to people who've done stuff through the pandemic. And then we thought, no, we must look wider than that. We've got heroes all the time doing things, and this is something that we should carry forward. So the Girl Guiding Hero Award was born out of COVID, but is not reflecting that. Maybe some of you on here have had one of these certificates. We wanted to make this a really special certificate, nice A5 size, and something that people would feel when they got it was a kind of instant response to say, you are a hero for what you do. And this is over to you, really. It's nothing to do with me now. We've invented it. You out there, anybody you know in guiding, just think of someone who's been a real hero in any way. It can be for anything, and I'll give you a few more ideas about that later. But think of someone, any age, who's been a hero, a member, maybe not a member, supporter, and you want to say thank you in a special way. Talk to the other leaders around you and to your local commissioner. See if they agree that this is a special person. Fill in a really simple form to say why your hero is a hero. And then different regions are doing slightly different routes on how you get it. Essentially, the certificate is in trading. It's importantly, if you look at the certificate, it's got 3 signatures on: the chief guide, your region chief commissioner, and a county commissioner. And that's because we want to say, whoever you are the hero. And from the top of Girl Guiding's volunteer structure to the most local one, we recognise how heroic you are. Once you've got that certificate, you just plan a nice little presentation. There you are. That's it. Sorted. A really easy way to say thank you. Not going to take long. Could be done in a couple of weeks as a really quick response. And everybody understands a certificate. The brownies who got certificates in the first pictures were absolutely thrilled. Their parents were chuffed to bits for the fact they'd been recognised for doing some fundraising. But it can be somebody much older who gets the certificate in a maybe nicely framed on their wall, and just reminds them that we actually do appreciate our leaders. So what might they have done? Well, it could be, as I mentioned, a special fundraising effort. And I know, again, born out of COVID more than ever, people found charities they really wanted to support and made an amazing amount of money. But that's ongoing, isn't it? If you have a family member or a friend who has a particular disease, ailment, problem, challenge, people will crowds fund will put together fundraising efforts, just giving praises. And if that's something special, well, celebrate. It could be somebody, an individual or a member of the community who's really looked after other people. It could be for all that someone does, looking after local guiding. Showing fantastic citizenship, coping with adversity. Actually, this list only ends where your imagination ends, because if you know someone who deserves to be rewarded and you can think of a reason, then a hero certificate might just be the thing that really helps them. I am going to say, actually, as I go along, obviously I'm going to do a lot of talking here. If there's anything I say that you want to ask about, just stick it in the chat. Save it till the end and ask me. Unmute yourself and ask me. Well, Emma is probably going to be monitoring questions as they come along, and we'll butt in if there's something I've missed that I should answer straight away. But as with everything in girl guiding, I've given you a link at the bottom of the page there, which can be circulated around if you don't know where to look, of how to find out more about being a girl guiding hero. This is just some of the examples we've got. It says citation, which makes it sound very grand, scary, but actually it's really just a little bit on a form that says, I want such and such a person to be noticed as a hero because. And so we've got things like saving somebody's life using CPR, the county treasurer, who isn't really a long-term person involved in guiding, being a game changer, a true guide. These are really important words that say something different. Knitting and crocheting over 100 items. I'm always impressed by that because I couldn't do the one, never mind the 100, to sell in aid of county house funds. And somebody who lives every life, throws herself into all the guiding activities, virtual, face-to-face. Really important that these people are recognised. And I like this last one. You've transformed guiding in your units to be vibrant, fun and active, inspiration, a mentor. And, you know, it sounds like there shouldn't be many of these people around because they're so special. But actually, as you know and I know, girl guiding is full of very, very special people. So let's think about some of the other things that you can do to support members and non-members in your area. To say, we recognise, thank you so much, we're recognising what you do. The next one on my list, again, straight over to you, are to use the thanks badge and the good service brooch more effectively. And I'm just diverting into the chat. No, there's not an age limit for the guiding hero, Nicola. Anybody could get that, really. I guess there is probably is a bottom age limit of your youngest rainbow. And I would say there's a top limit of 100 and something. But really, it's for everybody. I think there was another question coming in the chat there. Oh, that's lovely, Sarah. Great example. 3 young members with Polish family near the Ukrainian border, fundraising, and they've gone out to help. Fantastic. That's just the kind of thing that we do need to recognise. So I'll just carry on with the thanks badge and the good service brooch, but keep comments coming because it's all lovely. The thanks badge, which is a really nice little badge brooch. I don't know where badges meet brooches, really. In the world of awards, it's sometimes difficult to know. But the thanks badge can be a brooch, as is actually a lapel pin version. It can be given to members, non-members, as a sign of appreciation. And anybody can do that. You buy it from trading, it costs less than a £5. It looks pretty nice, and it comes in a lovely little box with a certificate and makes people feel good. Trefoil people out there have their own awards, but a lot of trefoil people are still within Girl Guiding's main membership as well. So the thanks badge is an easy way, and we do give out a few hundred a year, but as I keep saying to the awards committee, we've got tens of thousands of adult members, hundreds of thousands of young members, the number of things we give out actually isn't enough. You move on to the good service brooch, a little bit more convoluted, I suppose, to get it, because you do have to have a little more discussion, but it doesn't come to the awards committee for citations, and it's for excellent service. It could be given by, and often is given by, a county commissioner, but it could also be given in consultation with the county commissioner by other members. And the most important thing is, it is for people who are still current within girl guiding. Another nice brooch. And what else can you do? We're not finished yet, but it gets a little bit more complicated after this. So there's 3 awards here. I'd like to think that most of you do know about this, and it might be really nice if you were to just put in the chat a yes, if you know, just a Y even. If you've heard of the Guiding Star and you know what it's for, just quickly in the chat, type a yes, just like you do on Safe Space Training, really. No, never heard of it. Oh, about to be enlightened, Julie. Yes, Lisa, good. I'm glad you've heard of it. And Chris and Alex. Yeah, there are lots of yeses coming in, other than no, which is the reason I'm here, really, isn't it? If there's any no's here, I'm trying to turn the no's to yeses. I would guess, and you might wish to correct me on this. Yeah, there's lots of yeses and a few no's. Of those of you who know about the Guiding Star, some of you will probably have what I think is misinformation in your head about it, and I'm about to correct that at all. Samantha Brown, I heard of the fish, don't know how or why they're awarded. You're about to find out. Stick with us. Anybody want to put in the chat why they think, if they think of the Guiding Star, why they think it's given? What is it for? Anybody would like to just stick that in the chat to see if my conceptions or perceptions are right? Nobody wanted to commit at the moment. Oh yeah. Could girl guiding nationally be more proactive in giving awards? Can I come back to that? Emma, remind me to come back to that. The Star, young member overcoming difficulties. That was actually, Alex, exactly the answer I expected somebody to put in there. I will come back to Christine a little bit later at the end. Similar to the hero, yep, a little more difficult to get. Young members who've done something heroic, exceptional role model, young member, says Lisa. So, yeah, quite a few of you there just coming in with pretty much what I expected, particularly as Alex, who said overcoming difficulties, because the Guiding Star's got itself a bit of an unfortunate image where people tended to think that the Guiding Star, which is now for young members up to the age of their 19th birthday, it was up to 26, but it's come down in line with young member sections, was going to people who were very ill, overcoming difficulties. It was all a bit doom and gloom, frankly. And we have members doing absolutely remarkable other things. So we've widened it out, and some of you have clearly got the message on that one, because it is now for exceptional role models, people with resilience, people who do fantastic things. They're great citizens. They may have fundraised. It's like the hero, I think, as you say, on a different level. The different level being that to get a Guiding Star, somebody, could be you, thinks of a girl that's really just amazing, and you do need to have a chat with your county commissioner, fill in a form, get 2 or 3 people to write a little letter saying why this person is amazing, and that one does come through the national system, which means you do it from county, send it to region say that's fantastic, they send it on to national, and we look at it and make a judgment as well on that. Usually we only meet twice a year, but sometimes we have to do things really fast. For any of the awards, we can turn them around really quickly, so that we do have a regular spring and autumn meeting. But if there's a matter of somebody being rewarded more quickly, and maybe sadly because they really are terminally ill or something, we can turn things around practically overnight. In fact, I think we have done it overnight in some occasions. So the guiding star is the most special thing we can give a young member. And really, you go out there and spot them. You'll know them. You know people in your county. Everybody talks about them and says, "Isn't this person fantastic?" And sorry, I'm waving at another guide person who's just come into the bar. Just ignore me. So you know those people. You find them. So that's it. That's the highest thing we can give to a younger member of Girl Guiding. And then we move through the other top 2 awards, I guess, over here. You probably do know, and maybe actually I do know that people on here have got laurels. In fact, I think somebody on here, I recognise the name, has a national honour as well. But there will be people on here perhaps who have Laurel Awards or know of people who've got the Laurel Awards. So let's just have a go through these. And the final one, the Silver Fish, we'll also talk about in a little bit more detail. So we've got the Star, the Laurel, and the Silver Fish, all now designed as brooches or brooch style badges to be pinned onto jackets. You probably see I'm wearing one actually today, and not now as they used to be on a ribbon, which you still do see some people wearing. So there we go. Here's the more detail on the guiding star. Three real things: great resilience, exceptional role model, and initiative in response to an emergency situation. We get some great stories coming forward, but not enough. And that, I guess, is really why I was pleased to take up Emma's offer to talk to you today, because we need more people. And we can only give more awards if you apply. And this is the impact it can have. People are totally surprised. I think often because we're very devious, we set up events and people are invited along and they go thinking it's for something else. Get there. Oh, it was a celebration of Women to Guide Stories. But oh, no, it's about me. Lovely letters. I could get an award. A lovely one here about the fact that actually the girls that get and young women that get this award are part of a unit. And it's really nice that this person who's understanding that she did something very special that people recognise, but she is recognising that her unit really supported her. And she wanted to tell them as soon as they got out of lockdown, I presume. Receiving the Guiding Star Award was amazing. A complete surprise. I couldn't have done it without my guiding family. I mean, what more can you say? Fantastic. But it's up to really say we can only ratify awards if we get submissions. So this is very much a sales pitch for you to do things about looking for these exceptional people. They are there. The Laurel Award for an outstanding leader. I've highlighted what I think are 3 really significant things here, because we have lots and lots of people who are outstanding, but this is the person who is really outstanding, stands out from everybody else in your district, division, county, region, wherever they're guiding. It's got to be a significant contribution. And I think that's the thing that we find most hard to judge when we're at the awards committee. So it does require some citations, and we're not judging your spelling, we're not judging how good the sentences are, we're judging the sentiment that people put in when they apply for the Laurel Award for somebody, because we're trying to make sure that out of all our lovely, fantastic leaders, this person has gone that extra distance to be really outstanding. And finally, the Silver Fish, which was mentioned before, and hopefully I'll cover some of the things. So the Silver Fish is the highest award in girl guiding. It is, and we thought long and hard when we were trying to think of how to word this to get a difference, because it was quite indistinct for a while. What was the difference between Laurel and Silverfish? So we decided when Laurel means outstanding, Silverfish means exceptional. And it's about what that person has achieved across the whole breadth of girl guiding. It's an exceptional contribution. It's the one where people in the county say about the person, I don't know how she does that. That's just amazing. What an incredible thing to do. So it's not only exceptional and outstanding, but it's about impact. a substantial impact in a variety of roles. It's the highest honour. There's not many given every year. I think the most we've done in 1 year is 6. Now, arguably, that's still not enough. Laurels, I think in 1 year we've done maybe getting on for 30. Definitely, there's a lot more outstanding people than that. But there is also a feeling amongst our committee and amongst a lot of region committees that when you're looking to give national awards, it does have to be something that is very, very special, so that people really all agree that this person is just amazing. But we'd like to see lots more applications come in. It's not about how many citations are written. It's usually about, if you've think of somebody that you think is worth a laurel or a silverfish, it's about actually getting together a group of people. Somebody takes the lead and thinks about person X, and then they think, right, who knows this person? Who can write about what they've done in there with their unit? Who could actually write about what they've done in this county? Who can write about their role as an advisor, a trainer, or whatever they've been? Who can actually support what the impact has been? And really the important thing is not to write 5 letters that all say the same thing, as in, actually, this person is amazing. And possibly one of our least favourite terms, which comes up every single year, cut them through the middle and they'll have Girl Guiding written through them like a stick of rock. I think there's a lot of us like that, actually. It's what makes a difference. So actually, if you can get 5, 6, 7 citations written, they each give a different aspect to this person, and we can go, wow, what an amazing leader that person is in Girl Guiding. It's also, I'd have to say, not just a reward for being in for 50 years, 60 years or 70 years. So we have given 1 or 2, I'm happy to say, I'm delighted to say, Emma's ecstatic, in fact, to hear, that, and to know, and to have been part of giving a silverfish to somebody in their early 30s. I don't know that we've done 20s yet. If somebody's doing amazing stuff at incredibly high level in Girl Guiding, then they should get it. They don't have to wait till the 50, 60, 70. And perhaps that's one of our sadnesses. A lot of awards do go to older members, and they do deserve it, and we shouldn't stop doing that. But some of our younger members do amazing things as well. And how do you feel if you get a silverfish? Well, here's a couple of things. Stunned, humbled, honoured. And it is amazing. I'm a great, as Emma knows, a great fan of the secret celebration and the lies and deceit that lead to that. Because when you walk into a room, or indeed in COVID times, when you're on a Zoom that's about one thing, and suddenly realise there's 56 people there instead of 5 or 6, and there's names cropping up that are unexpected. Gobsmacked isn't quite in the register, and I do like the fact that that Carol, who is one of the best speakers I know, that has the widest vocabulary, was reduced, and I did witness this, to being incoherent, overwhelmed and incoherent. And you know that you've done somebody something special, and that it's just not something. We don't come into guiding to get awards, but when you do get something, it is pretty amazing. And I'm sure for those of our members who've gone the extra step and been given a national honour, which goes through a completely different channel and has nothing to do with us, they would have the same sentiments as well. So there we are. That's my run through. I don't know whether anybody's got anything else they'd like to comment on, chat about. I think we've got 3 or 4 minutes left if there is anything. I should stop prattling on in a moment. And if anyone wants to turn on their microphone and speak, that'd be really lovely. Or if you would like to type something, or if you feel there's a question unanswered, then just pop it in the chat right now. There's a phrase we didn't have 4 or 5 years ago. Pop it in the chat.
Thank you very, very much, Hilary. If anybody does have any questions, then either please pop them in the chat, as Hilary said, or feel free to pop your hand up and we can come round to you. There was Christine's point before about, could Girl Guiding be more proactive?
Oh, yes.
When guiders move around the country.
It's a good point, Christine. It's one we debate long and hard. And I've sort of touched on it, I guess, by saying we don't give enough awards, but we do want to keep standards. And there's a sort of tension there. So yes, we would like to give more awards. Me coming out to regions, in person or virtually, is part of the sales pitch. So that all those people who said no, they didn't know what the guiding star was about, do know. And hopefully you're sitting there thinking, well, actually, I could put something together for somebody. Because in the end, actually, we can only give out as many Laurel Awards, Guiding Stars or Silver Fish. The top number we can possibly do is the number that are applied for. So if we only get 10 applications for Silver Fish, well, that would be the absolute maximum. But in actual fact, sometimes we only get 2. And I know, and you know, we have got amazing people who should be rewarded. So, thanks, Pat. What phrasing do you expect need in the citations? We don't have any expectation except for you showing a lot of enthusiasm for that person, and for you proving in what you say that the aspect that you're writing about is demonstrated. So there isn't a prescribed route. If you look on the websites, we've given you some pointers on the website of the kind of approach that you could take. And we took quite a long time writing that up. So if you go on the website, there's something there. Now I think I've got a more challenging question coming here. I'm just going to have a quick read.
Just jumping off the back of Pat as well, and sort of say, for me, the main thing is not assuming that the panel know everything about this person already, because quite often we don't. So not assuming that the panel know, if this person is given loads and loads of hours to Ashley and they volunteer there every week, and they've been instrumental in its development. Well, we don't know what Ashley is as an activity centre or whatever. Or do you really like local terminology? They've organised Winter Wonderland every year. Well, what does that mean? What actually goes into that? So just trying to really, really unpick everything would be my sort of top tip on what we expect.
I think so, yes. We get of the number of citations, we get an awful lot of people who have a lot to do with properties, but we don't know whether that property is serving 20 guides, 200 or 2,000 or 20,000. So if you have some facts and figures, it helps. Lisa, whoever this mystery person is, there's an awful lot of things there. So a lot of citations written in the right way, as in people taking those aspects and going through regions, on the surface of that looks really a powerful range of things for somebody to have done. And if that somebody hasn't been awarded, it's probably something where it would be. Trying to see.
Yeah, Chris has message there. If we go to Chris with a hand up.
Sorry, I can see Natalie at the moment. Chris, what am I looking for?
That's Chris.
I'm looking.
Are you speaking to me, Chris?
Yeah, I am speaking to you.
Lovely.
Yes,
I like human beings.
Looking at the Silver Fish, and you ask for widening guiding influence, demonstrate that the nominated member has a clear understanding of the place that girl guiding within WAGs and the world, and they will have shared this with other members, young and old. What exactly are you looking for there?
Well, it's really good. Whether you can hear a lot of noise, I reckon the guide leaders have just come out of their meeting because there's a noise. It's really good that, because the Silver Fish for a long time, and some of you who've been around a while might know this, got terribly tied up in people having to have had international experience. And it seemed to me and to my fellow committee members that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have that fantastic international experience in person. So we wanted a form of writing it, Chris, that sort of a really good unit county person would be doing. So, for example, by demonstrating your understanding of global girl guiding, I think we're meaning you might not have travelled, but you will be making sure that the girls in your unit, if they're of an age, get opportunities to travel, understand the impact that the World Association can have, impact maybe some of the projects. For example, when the war in Ukraine started, I made sure that a friend I have in girl guiding who'd been to the Ukraine some years ago to introduce girl guiding there and had some pictures. She sent me some pictures so I could talk about, a reality. This is what girl guides in the Ukraine will be feeling like now. Now, I've not been to the Ukraine. I don't suppose I'm ever going, but I kind of went out of my way to make sure they were engaged. So it's about in that bit of the silverfish citation, demonstrating that the person in question is making sure, whether they've travelled or not, that the girls in their unit get opportunities if appropriate, or if they're younger, that they get some understanding, not just of a kind of calendar curriculum of Diwali and the sort of celebrations, but of what actually girl guiding is doing in another place. Does that help you?
No, that's great, Hilary. It's always been a stumbling block, and I don't think anybody's really got over the stumbling block of having been on an international, but that's a great way of explaining it. Thank you.
Well, that was the stumbling block I was trying to get past as well. If I've achieved that in my years as chair, I feel I'm halfway to my mission. And I'll just pick up Nicola, language of requirements. Is it the language of the requirements, a variety of roles? We've got, we do see the Go records, and it's really amazing how many things people have done. And it is important to us that we want to see variety of roles, preferably a few different levels, really showing this person engages at different levels. We have a problem sometimes with Go records not being very up to date, but most things that are on Go, and yeah, the citations, if you can demonstrate, go back to Chris's point about the global guiding. If you could demonstrate, for example, you're looking for a silverfish for somebody who hadn't travelled, but they'd been involved in promoting WAGS projects that help their girls to understand, that would be the kind of evidence. I think the language does always provide a barrier, but it's kind of up to you to unpick it if you can, and if you can't, to come to me directly, to go to Emma directly, and we'll try and help you with it. You could always go to a halfway house, if you've got somebody in mind, you can ask what we think, and then we might be able to give you a bit of a pointer of how to make that application better. I think we've run out of questions. Is that okay?
I think we have. I will just sort of obviously hop in and say thank you very much, Hilary. That was really, really interesting, and we will share the kind of the presentation and the links as well for people to look at. There are other region awards too. I just wanted to quickly add in.
Of course. Yeah,
so we have our Chief Commissioner Award and our Region President Award for volunteers and young members respectively, that go through our Region Awards Committee. So there are lots and lots of things out there. I think I particularly want to stress about the Hero Award. It's by far the most accessible way of saying thank you. And as Hilary said, that certificate, it's a really, really lovely certificate if you've not seen one. Is such an easy way. You can get hold of it really easy, arrange a presentation, and that means such a lot to somebody. And I think there's the value in the presentation. You can kind of take away what award it is, and actually it's the act of saying thank you and the act of giving a certificate or a badge and making that presentation feel really special. And in terms of growth, linking it all back to growth and retention, clearly awards play quite a big role in retention. But actually in terms of growth, it gives us an opportunity to shout out about what we're doing and how incredible Girl Guiding is and why this person has got the award. So just thinking about who we're saying thank you to and how we're awarding it, the value in the presentation, and then making sure that we're shouting out about that as well, and really using
I'm going to jump in and back that up, because I can't say too strongly that it is the way you give something. It's it's not what you say, it's the way that you say it. And I've heard of occasions where people have more or less had a Hero Award arrive in the post at home, nobody there to share it with. The joy of getting something is often in the sharing. Well, in my opinion, it's all in the sharing of the joy, to be honest. So yeah, whatever you're presenting, whatever you're getting, whichever badge, brooch, award, just make it special. Yeah. So hope you have a nice rest of your day, and I'll go shopping in York now. Bye.
Have a lovely afternoon, Hilary. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yes, so thank you to Hilary for doing that. And again, that was a slightly more unusual session for a growth conference, a growth training, I know, but I really wanted to include that. As we've said, we can get people in the door, hopefully, but actually if they're not feeling valued and they're not feeling recognised, they're not going to be staying with us for very long, but also they're not going to be having those positive conversations that Jane has talked about. And actually getting an award is a really great conversation starter. So I think thinking about those as being really interlinked, and not even getting an award, but just being recognised is a great conversation starter. And absolutely the value in the presentation as well, getting photos of that presentation. We're going to move on to social media next and using social media. But a really, really great way of thanking somebody and then talking about why we do what we do and how great an organisation it is. Local press as well are really, really keen to pick up on stories like that. You know, a little brownie getting a hero award, up to a volunteer who's done some fantastic fundraising or supported local units through difficult times. The local press love that, and that's recognising a volunteer, retaining them for longer, and also getting us out there into more external facing places as well. Also, just to say on the front of, it doesn't matter what award it is, it's about the presentation. I just want to highlight long service awards in that as well. And obviously everybody does that differently, but at Region we have our 1 year and 3 year service awards, which were introduced because of that bit of a long gap between just starting volunteering and waiting for 5 years. And you know, so everybody presents differently, but actually the value of really making a big deal in your unit, especially, and showing the girls, you know, at 1 year that volunteer, her unit is probably the most important place to her. Not to make assumptions, but generally. And actually the value of really putting a lot of effort into that 1 year or 3 year service award presentation, I think can't be understated, and making that volunteer at 1 year feel incredibly special and giving the opportunity for all of the girls in that unit to see how special that volunteer feels. For me, kind of linking this right back to sort of growth and retention is really, really important. So do make use of those Region 1 and 3 year awards, please. As well as all of the other awards that Hilary's talked about, and do think about that presentation, and simply saying thank you as well. Sometimes we're in a rush, you know, we finish our unit meeting, somebody's done a fantastic job of leading activity, and just remembering to say thank you for the little things as well. But I don't want to sort of teach a granny to suck eggs. I'm sure you all do that all the time. Alex has just asked about the 1 and 3 year awards. So if you didn't know, then a few years ago, before my time anyway, we introduced these 1 and 3 year awards, and they are distributed once or twice a year through counties. Sometimes it depends how local choose to do it, really. But anybody who has got a 1 or 3 year service on go at the point that we pull the reports will be eligible for those and should be presented with them locally. So that's where they come from, Alex, and they're really, really lovely. And as I said, a great way to bridge that gap between the 1 year, the starting volunteering, and the 5 years. And again, just a bit of a fact to back that up, since we introduced those service awards, the average time of volunteering in Girl Guided North West England went up, which shows that kind of that recognition really early in someone's volunteer journey is super important in them staying longer.